speechless, speechless. Shame, shame, shame. Just a word, shame. I really can't wrap my head around how stupid this is. Hello everyone and welcome to the Flexibility Guy Show. I'm your host, the Flexibility Guy, Coach Elia, and in today's video we're going to be talking about flexibility. If you're new in this show, I'm going to be spending the first part talking about flexibility training. So I'm going to speak my mind about flexibility, sharing what I know about flexibility training. So if you want to know more about how to increase your flexibility, this is the right place. All right, the first part. Second part, I'm gonna react to some videos I found online, because nowadays we got a lot of social media, a lot of people just trying to teach you something about flexibility training related or something like that. And I'm gonna have a look at those videos I can find on the social media, and I'm gonna be analyzing them with you. Third part is going to be the Q&A part. So I'm going to read your questions. I'm going to read 3 questions, all right, coming from you from the comments down on my YouTube videos or on my social media. And I'm going to be talking about these topics right over here, third part, all right? So get ready to start. Let's talk about flexibility training. The Flexibility Guy, Coach Elia. All right, guys, so today I want to talk about a really important concept in flexibility training, which is called intensity. All right, so the first part of the Flexibility Guy show, I analyzed the concept of progressive overload. All right, so if you haven't watched that video yet, make sure to check it out, all right, because this is really important. You do want to make progress throughout the weeks, throughout the months, throughout the years, all right, and you do want to make sure to actually modify and adjust your flexibility positions in a way that allows you to make gains in the long term, because flexibility is a long-term game, is a consistency game, all right? So you want to make sure that you are applying a kind of an overload, progressive overload principle. But now today we want to talk about intensity, and intensity is such a key word in flexibility training, because let's start with intensity in athletic performance and weights training, because this is easily understandable here. Now let's suppose that you do want to measure your max performance, for example in a lift. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna kind of grab a weight and you're gonna move that way up or down. It depends on like what the lift is. Let's suppose I wanna do a bicep curl, all right? I'm gonna grab the weight, pull it up, go down. That's 1 repetition maximum, all right? So that's the max I can do. Let's suppose I can lift at max 40 kilos, all right? Let's suppose it's such a big weight. Not too big, but I mean, it's a good weight, all right? So let's suppose I can lift 40 kilos. Now, this is my max. If I want to lift, I don't know, 80% of this weight, I should lift 32 kilos. Am I right? So, because 40 per 80% is 32. Now, this is 80% of my max intensity. So this intensity is 80%. On a scale from 1 to 10 is 8. All right? This is easily understandable, because here we're talking about numbers. But in flexibility training, you don't have numbers. You can't really kind of make a mental process where you can figure out a number. You can stretch at your max, and that is your max range of motion, and you can know it, but you can't really say, all right, this is a number. But you can the process you have to have here is this. You do want to create a scale. On that scale, you do want to start from 1 and you want to go until 10. Now, if you stretch at your max, meaning that you can't do more than that, this is an intensity of 10 max. Now, when you stretch, you want to make sure to adjust your intensity, because in athletic performance, in weights training, it's well known that when you train, you don't want to lift your max each and every day. You don't want to kind of do your best. Of course, you can do your best every day, but not always with the same intensity. When you go to the gym, if you look at athletic performance at max levels, also weight training at max levels, they never lift it to the max each and every day. But maybe they can go to the gym each and every day. But they kind of train different intensities to, of course, make progress, to give their bodies some rest, all right, and also to work on the technique, because the technique is important, and you can actually perform a better exercise, a better execution with less weight. Maybe not your max, because at max you're gonna struggle. Maybe you're gonna miss some details in the technique. You're gonna mess it up. With less amount of weight, you can focus better on your technique. Now, in flexibility training, take these concepts, and it's exactly the same. If you stretch at your max every day, you're gonna hurt yourself because your body won't have enough time to recover. You're not gonna use the correct technique. You can't figure out how to relax in a position, how to move your legs or your body or your arms or your trunk in that position, because that position is too hard. So you can't really focus there. So as you can see, there are a lot of kind of problems when it comes to max intensity, repeated each and every day, or maybe with sessions which are too close one to the other. So you want to figure out on this scale your max intensity. Let's say you want to go into a split. You're going to go down and you're going to go at your max after a good warm-up, of course. Really warmed up. You want to measure if you want to measure, but of course, I'm not suggesting you measure each and every time. Because I myself, for example, I never measure. I know that I want to stretch, I'm going to be talking about it, on this scale at a certain intensity, and I feel that this intensity is right for me, okay? But let's suppose you want to measure your max. So you go down, you stretch, you reach your max amount of depth. This is 10. Now, on this intensity scale that goes from 1 to 10, you do want to stay between 6 and 9. Below 6, your body doesn't have a kind of a valid enough reason to make progress. It's like lifting a weight, which is not your weight, which is too light. Let's say my max is 40 in this lift, as in the curl, as the previous example. There's no point in lifting 2 kilos because this is not the right amount of weight. I can lift 40, 2 kilos. It's like water. It's not gonna create an athletic improvement, all right? Maybe 24. Yeah, good amount of weight, which is 60%, which is 6 on our scale from 1 to 10, all right? 6 to 9, because in that kind of range, your body finds a way to make progress. If you go above 9, this is max. Again, same concept as before. Not enough rest, too much intensity, can't figure out the technique, you can't recover, too hard to maintain. Below 6, too easy, not like your body has no reason to make an adjustment. There's not enough stress, because stress creates progress, right? So your body doesn't have that. Between 6 and 9, that's the sweet spot. You do want to stay here. So when you stretch, you do want to stay on an intensity scale that stays between 6 and 9. This is the kind of main concept. So each and every time you stretch, figure out your best range of motion. Don't stay there. You don't want to have a position where you can, not easily, but it doesn't have to feel like impossible to perform, all right? Has to feel, okay, I'm struggling, but I can manage it, all right? Then, on some days, you want to go hard, meaning that maybe you want to stay on this intensity scale that goes from 1 to 10. You want to stay between 7 and 9, 8 and 9, all right? It's going to be hard because it's near maximal. It's like in our example, lifting, my max is 30, I'm lifting 37, 35. It's really close to the max. Doesn't mean that it's easy, all right? Because maybe if you're like, I don't know, performing rather than 1 repetition, 2, this is going to be really, really hard. All right. And some days you want to stay between 6 and 7. This means that it's not too easy, but it's almost comfortable. Because in those days, maybe you want to work on your technique. You want to create in your body a reason to make progress, but you also want to have a rest. You also want to work on something else. You know what I mean? So this is the kind of really the key. Like, a lot of people ask me, how much should I train? How long should I train, etc. Guys, you gotta start from here. You gotta start from the concept of intensity. All right? Intensity is the key word. Now you got a scale. Now you know where you have to stay on this scale. And this is really all you have to know about flexibility training. All you have to know is here. You have to know this. If you know this, you're gonna make flexibility gains. Trust me, you're gonna make flexibility gains. If you follow this process, you're gonna make flexibility gains. All right? So learn and understand the concept of intensity and apply it to your stretching positions right now. Okay? Now, let's talk about the video analysis, part number 2. All right, guys, so I got my phone ready here. Guys, today I got 2 videos that I don't know what to say about these, because this is so fucking terrible, guys. Now, I don't know, this is not really flexibility related, not so flexibility related, but we got a guy here which is, I don't know, like pushing the head up like this and swinging the arms like this. So he's making something like this, and he's saying, I went from 185 centimeters, 6.1 feet, to 193, 6.4, by doing this every morning. No joke. By doing this every morning, no joke. So you're telling me that you gained 80 centimeters, which is insane, which is a lot. 80 centimeters is a lot of height by doing this each and every morning. You don't know, like, you're not saying for how long, etc., but each and every morning you've been doing this, all right, and you have gained 8 centimeters in height. Guys, I'm really speechless. I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. This is fucking insane. This is fucking insane. It's terrible. It's terrible. How can you believe it? And it has 150,000 likes. Guys, 150,000 likes to say I've been doing this kind of bullshit, because this is bullshit. This is bullshit. Strong, terrific bullshit. And you got 150k likes out of this. I'm speechless. 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 Shame. 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 Just a word. Shame. Now, guys, we got. I really can't. I really can't wrap my head around how stupid this is. I really can't wrap my head around how stupid this is. So, moving your head and swinging your arms and your body up makes you gain 8 centimeters, which is a lot of height. Guys, I don't know what to say. There's more than enough, I think. Then I got the other video right over here. Now, guys, there's that lady. To do splits easily, and there is a kind of, she points in a direction, you must practice side lunge Skadasana every day. So this is a Cossack squat where you put your hips on the floor and you fold your body toward the side completely. So you touch your trunk with your leg completely to the side every day. And you get better at splits. So the splits are 2 again. The split. So when you're talking about splits, you're talking about 2 positions, the front split and the side split. Now you're showing the side split, so you should say to do the side split easily. So easily, you gotta perform a cossack squat from side to side every day. Then since, of course, easily, you are a beginner maybe, you're watching this video, and she goes all the way down with her body toward the leg, and she kind of flexes the trunk laterally, which is really difficult, which is insane. You gotta have a very nice flexibility level here, otherwise you're gonna pull a muscle or something. So you gotta be aware of this. And so if you perform a cossack squat every day, you're gonna do the splits easily. That's the message. This is another bullshit video. I must say it. This is another bullshit video because there's nothing wrong with the exercise. I'm kind of also proposing this kind of exercise here, but I'm giving suggestions. And I'm not telling. I never, ever, and will never say in one of my videos to do splits easily, because there's no splits easily. There's no fucking splits easily. There's to do the splits, not easily, because it's not an easy thing. All right, this is really important, guys, because it's the message. It's what you spread online, and I'm really kind of this. I got this kind of thing in my heart because I've been doing this for years, and I've always been honest with you, with people, with my students, with me myself. I never thought splits are easy. Even though now I can do the splits, I'm not thinking about splits are easy. Splits ain't easy. Splits are hard. And here you are showing an exercise which is total bullshit for what you're saying. It's not the cossack squat that will make your splits easy. There's no such an exercise that makes your splits easy. Maybe if you want to improve your splits, yeah. But also, like, guys, I gotta say, the cossack squat is good. But, like, it's kilometers. It's really far away from the side split. The side split is totally a different matter. It's like 1 to 100, all right? It's really different. So you are proposing an exercise for beginners to intermediate students for a position which is really advanced. And so you can't say this exercise here makes your splits easy. You gotta know it. All right, you gotta know it. All right, guys. So I'm always kind of, thank you to the person who sent me the videos here, because a person sent me the videos. Justice has been made again. Doesn't matter the community, TikTok, Instagram, whatever. If you are shitty posting shitty content like this, I'm here. I'm looking at you. I'm gonna find you and I'm gonna analyze you. And if you're posting shitty content, I'm gonna smash the shit out of you. All right? That's a promise. All right, guys. So part number 3, Q&A. I'm gonna answer to 2 questions today because I don't want to make this episode too long. And the first one is this: my hamstrings are always sore after stretching. I have been stretching my hamstrings more than 2 years consistently, but still they are sore after a stretching session. Why is that? Now, guys, this is a common question I got, which is soreness after stretching. Soreness after stretching is something okay if like the stretching session has been intense, because when you stretch, you are pulling your muscles, and we scientifically know that when your muscles are pulled, so they go through a negative. In science, they use the word negative contraction. All right, eccentric contraction. All right, on negative phase, eccentric contraction and stuff. You're going to create damage on the muscle. So when you stretch your hamstrings, for example, you are kind of using an eccentric contraction, all right, to go into a position, especially if you are using a weight, if you are, I don't know, using a partner which pulls you or pushes you deeper into a stretch. So you're using something to create more stretch. And that eccentric contraction creates damage on your muscle. This is why managing your intensity and not going too hard on each and every stretching session is key. So you got to learn that, okay, your hamstrings, and hamstrings, I got to say this, hamstrings are among the most common muscles where people feel soreness after a stretching session. So that's normal. They're big, they're huge, and they are also like a really important matter here is that hamstrings are involved in many different stretching positions. For example, your quads may be involved in some, not involved in others. Your hamstrings are going to be involved in much like all the flexibility exercises for your lower body you can do, lunges, splits, etc. They're involved. So you're going to stretch them. You may be applying a lot of intensity, a lot of work, all right? So you should adjust the intensity and you should adjust the volume until you can find your spot. This doesn't mean you want to do less necessarily. Maybe you have to do a little less, but also adjust your intensity. Are you stretching too hard each and every day? Or are you kind of using too much weight? Or are you going too hard? All right, so take a little more rest. This doesn't mean that you don't have to stretch. This means that stretch, but with less intensity. There's also another kind of, kind of deload principle where you stretch a little less, but not in terms of frequency. You always stretch, but you apply less intensity. All right, so that may be a good answer to this question. Now, let's talk about question number 2. Now, the second one is kind of a little bit specific, but I do like the question because it's this. How to get a good elbow mobility? I can't get them straight, not only in handstands, but in general. Now, elbow mobility is such a complicated thing because you gotta learn this concept. The elbow is part of the arm, right? When you put your arm overhead like this, so when you move your arm like this up, you're not only, so for example, in handstands, you put your arms overhead. In all the movements where you move your arms, all right, and the elbows have to be straight. If you got tight shoulders, tight lats, tight pecs, tight triceps, you have tight biceps, your elbows are not going to be straight, but not because there's a kind of an elbow issue, because the elbow, like, it's not really a joint that has a lot of extensibility. It may vary. Some people have hyperextended elbows, or some people have stiff elbows, but that you can't change how your elbows are made, the ligaments inside of your elbows. You can't change that. But generally speaking, we got straight elbows. All right. So if you got straight elbows, like anatomically, biologically speaking, you got straight elbows. So your elbow can extend 180 degrees. All right, approximately. But you still, like, you test it. It can't straighten 180. But when you move it in a handstand, in a movement, you can't fully straighten your elbows. That might be your shoulder tightness, your lats, your chest. I can't say it for sure which muscle, your rotator cuff, which muscle is responsible for this. But when you move your shoulders, since your shoulders and your trunk are pulling your arm down this way, so if your muscles are tight, you can't really move your arm freely because your muscles pull the arm down. Since they are pulling on the humerus, all right, they're going to pull the arm down, and since the elbow is kind of at the end of the humerus, it's going to bend because your muscles are pulling the arm down or in another direction. So you can't really extend your elbow at your max level because your muscles, the shoulder muscles, the trunk muscles are pulling the arm down. So it's not about elbow flexibility per se, but it's about shoulder mobility, flexibility in that position, all right, which is limiting your elbow extension. So if you have tight shoulders, a consequence of that might be bent elbows. You can't fully straighten your elbows. That said, the bicep and all the muscles you got here, the front part of in the upper part of your arm, may limit elbow extension, so the kind of ability to fully extend your elbow. So you can work on the flexibility on these muscles, and also you can work on the flexibility on the muscles of your entire shoulder joint to improve that elbow extension. All right, makes sense? So this is why maybe your elbows can't fully straighten during your movements. All right, guys, so it's been a pleasure today to hang around with you to talk about flexibility training. The first part, we have talked about how to measure the intensity of your stretches, and I do think that this concept here is key. You must learn this and you must apply it to your flexibility positions. In part 2, we have analyzed the two, let's say, strange videos from the social media, and I don't want to add nothing to what I said. And in part 3, I have answered to 2 of your questions, really interesting questions. So thank you so much for leaving your questions under my YouTube videos, on my social media. So please continue doing that if you want your questions to be answered. All right, just put a comment down below. Say a hello. Also, if you don't have something to ask, just to say hello. If you appreciated the video, if you appreciated the content, I'm gonna be more than happy to have a chat with you and just to say if you are appreciating this thing. Also, remember that if you have something to ask, you can leave, again, a comment down below. All right, guys? It's been a pleasure to hang around with you. See you in the next video. Bye. If you want to stay in the loop with the Flexibility Guy and you want to have my weekly news, you want to have my free videos, you want to have my free webinars, you want to know when I publish my books, etc., you want to make sure to be on my email list, all right? So all you have to do, you click on the link in the description down below, you join my newsletter, and each and every week you're gonna have my email, my personal email with all the news, all right? So click on the link down below and join my newsletter.